Hey y'all, Michael Akers here. Thanks for tuning back in to another edition of The Carpenter's Woodworker. Last time we left off, we were starting this thing with this pencil pot. A lot of people had tagged me in a video with regards to making a vessel of some sort out of a whole bunch of broken pencils and some resin. I had a video. If you haven't gotten a chance to check that one out, please go back and look at it. It's kind of neat figuring out exactly how tedious one of these things are. When it comes down to it, I don't have any idea how this thing's going to turn out. It looks neat, then again at the same time it looks kind of rough. There's a lot of pitting in here, and I'm not exactly sure what caused that, if that's how the resin cured and maybe during its chemical reaction as the resin started to set. I didn't see that many bubbles in the actual product itself whenever I was trying to pour it in, and I thought that I tamped a lot of it out whenever I went to go press these two blocks of wood together. But obviously there's a lot of stuff right here on the surface. I don't know exactly how well you can see all that, but right here on the surface there's a lot of pitting and a lot of air bubbles that are trapped right there just underneath the surface of the workpiece itself. The instructions that I received were that this is supposed to slide right out of the CD sleeve that I'd actually poured this whole thing into. That was not the case. It took quite a bit of effort and quite a bit of grunting and twisting and turning, and I ended up destroying the entire thing when it was all said and done with. So I had to find something else to pour my next project into. But either way, I've got my lathe set up. I'll get my safety equipment here in just a second. So let's see what turns out. Alright, I've got the piece mounted in between centers, and I've got it well balanced to where it doesn't have a whole lot of shake on it at all. The fact that it's poured into a cylindrical form to begin with helps out with that quite a bit. So I don't have to worry about trying to turn away too much material before I can actually get down to the actual workpiece itself. So we'll start turning it and see how it works out. So far I've got this piece turned off of the actual main body of the vessel itself. Next thing I'm going to try to do is make an indent in this portion of the wood, so that way later on I can go back and make a nice snug fitting lid for the vessel. And I'm going to try to hollow this part out and see exactly how well that's put together. Well, if you were watching a moment ago, I was turning this vessel on the lathe, and had the chuck cranked down this piece of walnut, which I thought was doing really well. It ended up catching right there with my bowl gouge, and had enough torque on it to where it actually just broke the tenon off. Not sure if I'll be able to salvage this, but I'm going to give it my best. I think I'm just going to try and jam it up against the chuck itself and use my my live center on this side to see if I can maybe carve out a recess in there that I can put it back on the chuck. If I can't do that, then that'll be 3 days well wasted, and a good lesson learned on what not to do, I guess. Oh well, that's part of the whole game. Thankfully, I was able to get a tenon cut out on the back of here, or a recess cut on the back, on the other side of this vessel to get it back up on the chuck. I'm not exactly sure how well it's going to go because I couldn't get the greatest indent on the back of there, so I don't have the best registration when it comes to the actual chuck meeting the vessel. I don't know how well the rest of the turn is going to go, but I'm going to give it a shot. Unfortunately, that's all I've got time for today because I've got to go prepare for some stuff I've got going on later on this afternoon. I don't know. Stay tuned. We'll see how it turns out. Hey guys, welcome back. Well, I finally got to where I can come back over here to the lathe and try to work on this pen blank one more time. The more and more I look at it, the more and more I don't think that this particular piece is going to work out the way that I wanted it to. Every single time that I go to look at it further, I notice more and more pits inside the blank for the resin, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to be a very solid piece. But I'm going to still go ahead and try to turn it out see how it works out as far as the actual process goes, and use it more of a learning experience versus anything else. So hopefully the next time that I go over there to make one, it'll turn out a lot better. Okay, so the learning curve took a whole new curve today. As I went to go spin this up, the actual blank itself broke. There's absolutely no way that I can try and turn this out and salvage the piece now, unfortunately, to the best of my knowledge. So my learning experience for this particular kind of thing is going to have to wait. I don't know exactly what caused it to break. It seemed as if I had a pretty good grip on it with my chuck, but for some reason, whenever I went to go over there and scrape it out, it caught and immediately snapped. So this one's done, and hopefully the next one will turn a little bit better. Thanks for watching.